If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. I could probably end the list right there, but I'm going to continue. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. Speaking from personal experience, creating a podcast felt so overwhelming. I didn't know where to start, but using Anchor was a no-brainer. Their website and app is user-friendly. You're able to navigate through it easily. It's pretty cool, guys. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. A one-stop shop. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. On this week's episode of the Indie Center podcast, we sit down with actor and creator Marlon B. Servellon. But before we get into that, a word from our sponsors. This episode of the Indie Center podcast is brought to you by Spotify, the place where you can listen to your favorite artists and podcasts for free. Did you hear me? You don't even need a premium membership. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcast so you never miss an episode. Are you subscribed to me yet? Wink, wink. Premium users can download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, and that is so convenient. How many times have you found yourself in an airplane or driving down a road with no reception and you just want to escape but can't? You are stuck sitting next to somebody that snores, or you're stuck in a meaningless conversation and you just want to listen to podcasts. Well, now you can, guys. And you can easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app and search for Indie Center Podcast on Spotify, or browse podcasts in the Your Library tab. Also, make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode. All right, episode number 19. I am here with a producer, actor, writer, Marlon B. Servellon. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good.
So how did you get started into media?
Well, first and foremost, one thing I really need to say very assertively is that I love movies. I love movies ever since earliest memories I could ever remember. Okay. I remember being really young and watching, like, you know, the original Superman film, or Enter the Dragon, or the Missing in Action, or the Rambo films. Those are my earliest movies I remember watching. And we'd always be reenacting scenes with my brothers and with the toys that we would have. Uh-huh. So I was always, even early then, thinking of ideas to do for my own movies.
Really?
I would come up with my own storylines with my toys, or writing out ideas. I'm like, oh, these are the actors I would get. This is the director I would choose.
And what age is this?
Young. This is 6, maybe 5, or 5, 6, 7, around that age range.
Really?
So I was pretty young. I mean, I remember the very first time I went to the movie theater was to go see Ninja Turtles. And it just changed my world forever. I was just so blown away when I saw that. And I actually saw that in El Salvador.
Oh.
When I was visiting relatives out there.
Okay.
So my very first movie theater experience was an international, movie theater. I always wanted to do something performance creative-wise.
Okay.
But I was incredibly shy when I was younger. I think the only things I really did when I was younger was I did a couple of school plays, but little bit parts. Nothing to really...
Did you play the tree? Was that your role, or what was your role?
I was in, what was it? I think it was Alice in Wonderland and the Nutcracker.
Oh, okay.
And I was really overweight young kid.
Okay.
And just a really quick story about that was that the outfit I was supposed to wear for one of those two plays, I don't remember which one it was too small for me. So they had to custom make an extra suit for me to wear, like, you know, like on stage. So my outfit was like a different colors from everyone else's. So it just made me look kind of weird on stage. I stood out. And then in high school is when I tried to dabble again, trying to do something performance-wise.
Okay.
I tried playing.
Drama?
I did not have the balls to go out for drama. Like I was very overweight. I had a lot of self-conscious like issues about that. I was pushing like maybe 300 pounds back then.
Holy shit.
And even then, I still tried to do other things. Like I tried playing in bands, be in music. I was gonna be the singer, but it was like, you know, like heavy metal like type bands, and like I could never get a functional lineup like, you know, to work.
Yeah.
And one of the guys actually in my production group right now is connected to one of the guys I used to jam with back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of funny how those pieces still kind of connect to each other, even like going far back then. Never played a show, nothing. Every group I was in always fell apart.
Okay. So you guys just basically practiced in the garage and it just never...
Yeah, we had a few covers, couple maybe little like half-assed originals, you know, and nothing ever happened with that. It just died.
Yeah.
The next thing I dabbled in was, where I really felt comfortable was I had a broadcasting class. And I was there with my, my friend Matt, who's also helped out with production stuff even to this day. And I loved it. I loved the idea of like being told like, all right, today you're gonna come up with your own like radio theater, like the thing, play. And you have to write a script, and we wrote a script, and we had a newscast show. We had to do like our own little like improvisational things.
Yeah.
It was behind a curtain, so I felt more confident because I nobody really had to see me.
Yeah.
Because that was my first real taste of like, I like this. This is really, I feel comfortable doing something like this. And nothing really came after that. I just had fun that one semester doing that. And then it wasn't until, I'm gonna say my junior year of college, when I went to Columbia, where I actually, you know, got the balls to actually like, I'm gonna try an acting class. So I was studying something else. I'm like, I have some spare time, so I'm gonna take some extra classes for fun, some acting classes for fun. And it was just no match for what I was studying originally. Like it just took over like my mind completely when I got into acting. I just fell in love with it immediately. I was just like, it's it clicked. I just gravitated so much towards it. Like I was getting a lot of good notes from my teachers, classmates would always comment, you should keep going, keep trying. And I did get into one stage reading show that was there.
Okay.
And it was a performance in front of a small audience or whatnot, but I still can say I was in a show, not an actual full-on show, but it was a show, you know, for the most part.
Theater, right?
Yeah, it was a stage theater show. And it was one of the highlights of my life. You know, like I was one of the main actors, you know, and I had like 3 or 4 callbacks earlier that semester.
Oh, nice.
So I was just like, oh, I feel like I'm kind of good at something.
Yeah, I bet that built your confidence.
It did, a lot.
I mean, you said you had confidence issues in the beginning, and because of your weight, like, did that definitely help your image, your self-image?
By that point, I dropped considerable amount of weight. I lost almost like 100 pounds.
Okay.
And then after college, I tried to continue with acting. I went to a few classes at Act One Studio in the city that summer after I graduated. That's a whole nother story in itself. That didn't have the greatest of experiences there. And then I got into a couple of community college shows. And it just, well, here's the thing with acting, and I really, really, really have a lot of admiration and respect for people who continue to do it like as an actual profession. It's tough, man. And I'm sure you already know all this. I'm not saying anything new.
Well, to the listeners, they might not know.
Well, here's the thing that I was getting frustrated with was you have to have the time available to audition for the callback, for even the actual show. What if you have? I had a job. I was working. You know, like I was working. I think at a bookstore at the time. I also worked at a couple other different restaurants at the time. And it was also like always a struggle to be like, oh, I got to get this time up, so I got to go audition for this. Like, oh, this is my rehearsal day, but I'm scheduled this day. I got to switch with someone. Oh, I got a call back. No, but I'm working that day. What do I do? Like, I can't just call off. I'm going to get fired. So little things like that started to get in the way. And then I kind of just Maybe I stopped a little too soon with it, but after about a couple years, I kind of just decided to put acting aside for a little while.
It became too hectic for you?
It came a little too hectic. Just trying to balance, like trying to go out to pursue that and maintain, like, working a job, paying bills, and also kind of wanting to go out and do my own thing, travel and have fun and hang out with friends and family. So I kind of put that aside for a little while, and now this is where the journey, the real story begins of how I got involved in media.
Yeah.
I was seeing that other people were doing their own thing. They were starting their own little production groups. And instead of waiting to be discovered or like waiting for Hollywood to come to them, why don't you just make your own Hollywood? Why don't you put yourself out there yourself,
How long ago did you have this epiphany?
This was in, let me say, 2009 or 10 or so.
9 years ago?
Yeah, about 10 years ago
Okay.
is when it first started hitting me, like, I can kind of do my own thing. So there's many sagas and many dramas that happened, which led me to my current production group. But I'll summarize this as best as I can. Can't be here all night. I got involved in 2 different production groups.
Okay.
Both of them were disasters.
How so?
The first one was someone that was introduced to me by another mutual friend. And this guy was like putting together his own production group. He heard that I was also trying to do something similar as well. So I teamed up with him. We wrote one comedic skit. We got like 3 friends of ours to be in it. And then the day came to film, they all flaked out. And then we hired these 3 actors who, they were really cool, great guys, but like the chemistry just wasn't there for what we were looking for.
Yeah.
We filmed it anyways. And we're looking at the footage and we're just like, it's just not there.
Came out to be shit.
Exactly. And then, we kind of had a little bit of a falling out, and that group just went nowhere. It just died. And then shortly after that, I teamed up with another guy, and this production group that he was starting out was an even bigger disaster. And that's the saga upon saga upon saga. Like that whole situation cost me not just time, but like resources, energy, just like almost my sanity. Like there was so much drama that went on with this particular character that I'm not going to name right now. But I just was left extremely burned out after the second production. We didn't even film anything. It was just
burnt out already?
It was one false start after another. Like we would always try to start something, it wouldn't go nowhere. And then we'd try to start something else, it would go nowhere. And then he'd go off and do his own thing without telling me, and then try to get me involved, but like I had nothing to do with that. And then that would turn into some big fiasco. It was just one big mess. It was just one mess after another, and then I just had to break it off.
So what was the experience like on the first fully functional set, independent set?
My first experience on a fully functional set, and I will continue on how I got started with my own group, but it's going to relate to it that my first impression was there's a lot of people here.
Was it independent or was it like on one of these TV
independent
shows?
professional?
Okay.
It was on the set of a guy who he was also another filmmaker who was very supportive of my production group. His name is Tadeo Garcia.
Okay.
And he's helped us out. He's like one of our cheerleaders, from way back when. And he invited me to be an extra on the set of the last movie that he did. And I remember just being in this place, and I was just like seeing all the equipment that they had, and there's so much personnel, so many cameras, so many the people having a job to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, in my primitive mind, because I didn't go to film school or nothing, I'm just like, this looks like overkill.
Yeah.
This looks like so much, and for a scene that was only on screen for 10 minutes or something, we were there for 5 hours or so. So I didn't understand what it was, but I would understand why it was the way it was, because pretty much the crew and the process we have now is very similar to how it was when I saw that set. And pretty much how I got towards to getting to a more professional one, first I had to start the Raven Roulette group, which instead of me trying to look for someone else who has their thing going, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna start my own group. And that's when I met my production partner, who was the very first guy to join me, Brian Strife. He's the director, editor, writer.
Yeah.
So we teamed up, and we're like, you know what? Let's make our own stuff, man. Because he'd always wanted to work on things, but he had the similar problem I did, where like every time he would try to work with someone, it would go nowhere. So he was really fed up and frustrated himself with trying to find people. And so we hit it off. We clicked. Our ideas were very similar, and we're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do our own thing, and we're gonna do it. We came up with this name, and
how did you come up with that name?
The name, I honestly, we kind of saw ourselves as underdogs. So we wanted like a dark kind of name, so we wanted it to be Raven something Raven.
Okay.
And then like, I think we were driving one day, like I think I was driving from work, and I think he mentioned something like, I was like, we're playing roulette with ourselves right now. We're doing this. I'm like, roulette. There you go, Raven roulette. Like, you know, like the two cool words, and let's just blend them together or something. It was just something stupid like that. It wasn't exactly a great moment. It works, but so we just bought a camera, and we ran with it.
Okay. What was the first project you guys shot?
The very first thing that we did, we tested the camera out and did this little horror skit, which actually turned out pretty cool for our very, very first thing. It doesn't exist anymore. I think we got rid of it. But it was no sound. It was silent.
Okay.
It was just really cool and atmospheric that we shot in his house. The house that he lived in at the time would look like the house of like a serial killer. Like it was like a very ominous looking dark. I'm not kidding. The house was a character in itself, and we filmed this little horror skit in there, and I thought it turned out good, but for whatever reason it got lost somewhere. But the first real project we ever did was the first season of the State of Disgrace show.
Really?
That's the very first thing we ever did.
The very first thing you shot?
The very first thing we actually completed from beginning to the end. And going back to what I said, neither one of us went to film school. Like, I just had some acting experience, and he had a little bit of editing experience because he'd worked with some music before. He wanted to do music as well.
Okay.
And he put together little like homemade music videos on his own. So we just had that going for us, and we'd never written anything like a sketch, like show sort of thing. But like my way of thinking at the time was, we're a little up there with age, you know, like rather than just like, you know, do something small, let's just try to go big. Like, let's try to go big. Let's try to do like a show with multiple characters and episodes, and let's just try to go all out. Like, you know, let's just try to make a big splash or whatnot. And he was just like, sure you don't want to do something small, man? Like, it sounds like it's gonna be a lot of work. He was like, no, we can do this. Like,
what was the inspiration for the entire series, right? Because you want to go big, you want to go hard. Where the fuck did the name State of Disgrace come from? Where did Disgraceland come from?
I pretty much knew that if it was going to be a show about multiple people, I kind of wanted them to be involved in like very just like a group of friends is pretty much getting themselves into like, you know, trouble constantly, bad situations, you know, and I was inspired by a lot of like humor from shows like Eastbound and Down or Workaholics or Trailer Park Boys. So those are the kind of like, you know, shows and like types of humor that I kind of wanted to do. And I wanted to have fun doing this as well. I knew I didn't want to do a drama. Nothing against dramas.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something that was going to be like comedic and fun, but like, you know, not be afraid to make fools of ourselves at the same time. And we're like, oh, we have to also throw in dark stuff too. It had dark humor in there, you know, like we get involved with the cartel as well, and like people get killed in the show, and we have to like, you know, constantly get ourselves out of situations, and even doing so gets us involved in another situation on top of that. So the very first season of the show, we filmed, and like the biggest mistake that we did, because again we didn't go to film school, was we didn't use sound. We did not use external sound.
Okay.
We didn't know anything about how that worked.
So how did you? Because I have something to say about that. But how did you record sound?
We just used the camera audio.
Is that what it was?
The first season, yes.
You fucking blew my ear out in my car, you motherfucker. I was watching your show because I have an hour commute every fucking day, hour and a half. I'm driving in my car, and I was like, you know what? Let me start watching, the series. So, first episode, I think somebody said something, and just my fucking speakers almost blew out.
Ah, right.
Yeah,
that
so
sounds familiar.
How did you guys figure that out?
All right, well, we were so far into the first season. We were so far into the first season that we're just like, man, this sound sucks, bro. We didn't know what to do, and then like he knew a little bit of like audio editing, but like it helped calm it down a little bit. But like we were so far in, we're just like, fuck, we just gotta be more careful and just like finish the whole thing.
Well, it sounds way better now. I mean, you could tell that you guys were working on that.
Well, what was I gonna say? So we shot the first season, and like there's so many stories about the first season. Like I told you, we can't be here all night talking about that. But
I have a blanket in my car just in case.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with the first season. There's a bunch of characters. We met a lot of people. We learned very quickly. I think us wanting to try to do something bigger and with little experience, the good benefit of that was we learned quickly what to do and what not to do. It was a great exercise in getting familiar with how to put something together at all. State of Disgrace Season 1, great learning experience. But here's the thing that I say, even with my buddy Brian, when we looked it over, yes, it's got a lot of problems, but like if you're patient with it and you give it a chance and you accept the flaws, like there's a lot of good stuff there. There's a lot of little good like situations and little jokes and humor that you can kind of pick up on. Where like we haven't quite figured out the characters and the writing, but like there's little glimpses of like that's kind of funny, like that's you can kind of see there's a structure there.
And I mean, I'm gonna say you did blow my ears out, but there were parts in there that I found humorous.
Did you watch the whole first season? Or?
Not the whole first season. I spotted a few episodes.
The last episode is the best one.
The last episode of the entire
of season 1.
Okay.
Is the best of that season.
Okay.
Because that's the one where actually the sound wasn't too bad.
Okay.
And it has the most entertaining like things that go on in it. But like the thing was that like we watched it and we were like, we did what we could, but we can do better.
Yeah.
And we liked enough of the material that we had that we didn't want to abandon it and just do something different. So we decided that we're going to learn from the mistakes we did with the first one, and we're going to apply it to the second one. And we're going to do a second season, but better. Okay. So we got a second camera, and we got an external microphone. That was the big thing. Like, it was so ghetto because like we didn't even have an actual pole. We had a windshield wiping pole that we duct taped the microphone onto it. It worked. You extend it and there you go. It worked.
Okay.
It worked. That was our first sound pole.
Hey, if it works, man. It works.
You do what you got to do.
So I have a question. You said you didn't know what the characters were like. You just figured it was funny. Did you write the entire first season, or were you writing it as you went?
We wrote the whole first season. However, like the episodes, the story the essential part of the story would stay the same. Okay. But like the main reason why elements of the scripts would change was because we'd constantly get people coming in and out of the production. And because we weren't really working with many actors. I think there was only like one actor that we actually had with actual experience working with us. And everyone else was just like friends and family and co-workers, and it was mostly the co-workers that bailed. And every time one of those co-workers would bail, we'd either A, have to recast them, or B, write their character out and just come up with something else. So it would kind of just transform like that as it would go on. The way we would write the scripts was, I remember it was one of your questions. Yeah. And it was similar how we wrote the second season, was like, essentially, I'd write an outline for the first episode. Okay. And then I'd give it to Brian. And then he'd look it over, and then like he'd make notes or suggestions and adjustments. He'd be like, okay, this is good, leave that out, add this, this is good, and this and that. And we'd go back and forth, and finally give it back to me. And then I would write a script out based off of the notes we both agreed on. Yeah. And then I'd give him the script, the rough draft, and then he'd do the same thing. He'd look it over, make notes, suggestions, ideas, this works, that works, and blah, blah, blah. And then I'd rewrite it with his ideas and notes. And then essentially we'd whittle our way to a final draft, and that would be an episode.
Okay.
And that's how our process has pretty much have been.
That's great teamwork. That's really great teamwork. Because I did the same thing on my film, where I would sit down, they would give me notes, and I would just go off of that. So that's a really great structure to have.
Yeah, being on the same page with everyone is a very important thing. It's one of the essential building blocks of teamwork, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a big thing about being in a production group. It is a team.
Yeah.
It's a team, like, you know, like a oriented thing, production group.
Yeah.
You can't do it by yourself. You know, you have to have the right pieces. It's almost like being in a band.
I was just about to say that.
It's
It's like
very-
being in a boy band.
Well, not,
Okay,
not
you
a
know what?
boy
It's kind of
band.
like being in a band, but then you're talking about like all these different components and everybody in this group that has to move the same way.
Yeah,
I think of Backstreet Boys. Okay, call me gay. I don't care. I'm not gay. I have a wife. But that's what I think of when you say, you know, a team. I
you think
of
Backstreet Boys? I think Guns N' Roses. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, you have like producer, director. You have the lighting, the sound, the camera.
Yeah.
And whoever else is in there. It's like a band, you
Yeah,
know.
Backstreet Boys.
And our Backstreet Boys. And our lineup has changed a little bit over time.
Okay.
But a lot of pieces have remained the same. But with the second season, another thing with people, I don't know if you noticed with the second season as well, is that everyone was also commenting like, it looks so much better.
Yeah.
Did you get a new camera?
I've been looking at the comment section. I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah. It looks so much better. Like, you know, did you get a new camera? I was like, no. Same camera as season one, we just learned how to use it. Like, we didn't know anything, like, with the first season, like, equipment-wise. We just hit record and played with the buttons as best as we could to try to get it to look
nice.
look okay. And season two was like, we actually, like, took tutorials and actually talked to people who actually, like, had the same cameras
Yeah.
and, like, how do we do this and how do we do that? Instead of just running and gunning it as we was with the first one. It actually looks considerably better in the second season.
Yeah.
Yes, there are still some patches here and there.
But you can see the difference. You could see the difference.
Complete difference. So we had two cameras, we had lighting, very basic lighting kit, but we still didn't have a solid lineup of a crew. There were some days where it was just me, Brian, and one of the other actors. And me and Brian are also in the scene.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Exactly.
We'd have to like prop up the microphone somewhere. We have to have the camera like on a tripod, and like you'd have to do what you have to do. Like, you know.
You don't really think about it until you're in the field that you need more than just, you know, you need more people than you think. Yeah, I mean, and especially now with, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys pay your actors, but doing these independent films, nobody pays anybody. You're just working for footage, working for real, you know, footage. So to get people committed to that project is really hard.
Yeah, lately we have paid because we are working with more people with actual experience.
Nice.
And so with that comes, you know, people want to be compensated.
Yeah,
who actually have the skill and actual experience to, you know, give
That's
us
great.
what we want. Whereas in the past, it was just like friends and family and just favors, people helping out. You know, it was, we had less money then, you know, than we kind of do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second season of that show was, there were times where we weren't even sure if we were going to finish it. I don't know how far you got into it. To give you an idea, the first season we filmed in 6 months.
Okay.
And it's 6 episodes. And that's just one camera, and that's it. The second season, we had more equipment, we had more people, more characters, more locations. We're moving around a lot more. It took us like 2.5 years
2.5 years?
to film 9 episodes.
Wow.
And the 9th episode is like 40 minutes long.
Yeah, is that the very final one?
Yeah, boobs, guns, and death.
Yeah. That title, yeah, the boobs, guns, and death.
I love that episode.
Clickbait, man. That's the best way to get anybody to click.
And did you see the cover photo?
The thumbnail? Yeah, I seen it.
That was filmed at a hot tub hotel.
Great job.
Hired a couple of models to be in
Beautiful
the
women.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys did it. I mean, I clicked on it, even though you sent me the link and I was going to click on it regardless, but I clicked on it faster. You know, just because I saw beautiful women. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah. That was that episode was just so many moving parts in there, and I think there was also. Did you see the last episode?
I see it. I saw it.
Okay, so you saw the whole warehouse shooting.
Yeah. The whole warehouse shooting. Yeah.
Yeah, that we filmed at this recording studio near Garfield Park.
Okay.
And it's this big, like, multi-floor, like, studio, and it just looked cool. And like, we were mutual friends with someone that recorded music there, and he was aware that we did film stuff, and he said, "Hey, why don't you guys film something here sometime?" And he's also in the show as
Oh,
well.
he is? Okay.
He's one of the characters in there. And funny story about that episode with the warehouse. You never got to see the behind the scenes footage, man.
No.
You know what? The behind the scenes is almost like a show in itself.
Okay.
There were so many things that happened during both seasons, first and second season. We were filming that scene in the warehouse, and our characters are like on the ground, and like about to be executed,
Yeah.
And the band start playing. Because like it's a recording studio.
It's a recording studio.
It's a studio, and then I think the guy who knew the place said that before noon there's nobody there, and then like if you want to get your stuff done, try to film it before noon, because that's when the band starts showing up to practice.
Okay.
So we were there like 8 o'clock in the morning and starting to film, and it was like a little past 11. I guess one of the bands got there early, and the band starts playing, and we're like, "Fuck!"
Was it the Backstreet Boys? I'll play.
It might as well have been.
All right, go ahead.
So then I had some cash in my pocket. I'm like, you know what? Wait here. So I go and I knock on the band's door.
No
And they open up, and I'm just like, hey, I'm sorry, we're filming something. Can I give you some money to not play your music for the next
Holy shit.
for the next like half hour or so? And they're all like, oh. I guess like they didn't mind. I guess they're like, well, I guess they're kind of hesitating. That I upped the money even more. I gave them twice as much. This much. Give us an hour. Give us an hour, and I'll give you this much. He's
Oh
like,
my God.
Take the money. And they get the lead singer. He's like, all right, fine. We need to look over some stuff anyways. So I paid him to stay quiet. And then we got the scene done.
Oh, that's funny.
We finished the scene.
That is so
But then
funny.
there were some other moments where like we couldn't help it. The bands were still playing. And so
It wasn't that band?
No, it was another band.
So did you have more money to give the other band?
No, I ran out of money. So we decided at that moment, fuck it, we're going to have to ADR this. So we're going to have to mute all this footage and just come back and ADR, or just try to edit it out as best as we can.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can even tell all too
No.
much.
No.
Yeah, I think we learned a little bit better about how to edit with sound.
That's good.
But yeah, our crew got bigger and more experienced on season 2. I'm going to send you the link to see our behind the scenes
Definitely.
footage. There's just too many funny stories in there.
So you're in season 2, and like you said, like you asked about the comment section, I had read it, and I see you have a following. How much influence does the YouTube comments have on your season?
None.
So if they say, hey, we want your name to be Rodrigo now, like you're not going to change it season 3?
No. I mean, the whole point of it is like, you got to like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the point is to find other people that like the same thing you like. If they don't like what you're doing, then why are you doing it in the first place? You're going to change it to what they want.
Okay.
We listen to criticism and whatnot. We'll listen to what feedback about this and that. Do this or do that. And we'll think about it and be like, does it make sense to do on the show? Does it make sense for this character? If they say just you suck, and you're like, what? I'm not going to pay attention to that comment. Like, okay, whatever. Down-click that comment or remove it. I don't care. But it's always good to hear
what people think.
people participating and actually like acknowledging, responding to something that you've done.
Yeah.
But as far as like influencing like decisions that we do, it doesn't really hold too much weight. You have to stick to what you want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
But still listen to what they say.
Of course, you have to keep your ear to them.
Right.
So there's a lot of independent web series that actually get picked up by networks, right?
Right.
You got High Maintenance. Have you ever seen Fred, by chance?
Okay.
Yeah.
I know of Fred, and the only reason
fucking annoying.
the only reason I know about Fred is that I watched this other channel where someone was counting down the worst movies of all time, and one of the movies was something called the Fred movie.
Yeah, so fucking bad.
And reviewed it, and then I was just like, he told me, you see the whole history of this Fred character,
horrible.
and I'm just like...
I mean, it works for some people, whatever. Great to him that he's actually made a living off of that.
Sure.
But, these web series that get picked up by major networks, if State of Disgrace were to get picked up by a major network and needed to be recast, who would it be?
I thought about this.
Okay, so who would play the characters?
Well, I'm talking about in a fantasy world, and I'm going to tell you like the characters that actually inspired the 3 main characters on the show.
Okay, so they're written.
Yeah, I was like, what 3 characters would I love to see in a situation where they're kind of just living together, and that's what they would get themselves into. The police guy character, the Rodney character.
Rodney King.
Yeah.
Fucking funny name. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't see all the episodes of season 2, have you?
No.
Oh my God, you're missing out some crazy shit that happens with him.
It's a lot of rides home that I gotta watch. But go ahead.
Yeah. The character that really inspired me for him was Danny McBride from.
That's where he fits in.
From Eastbound and Down.
Okay.
Have you watched Eastbound and Down?
I heard about it. No.
Awesome.
I know Danny McBride. He's fucking funny, and I thought he's perfect to be recasted in the show. I just didn't know where.
He's meant to be like a little bit older than the other 2. He's supposed to be like kind of like the guardian, or the guy who kind of like just looks after. If it was like the 3 Stooges, he'd be Mo. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of Mo, a little bit of Danny McBride for that character. For the character I play, the actor that I had in mind was Jonah Hill from Superbad.
Jonah Hill, motherfucker. Okay.
But young Jonah Hill, maybe not current Jonah Hill.
The younger the fat Jonah Hill.
The fat Jonah Hill from Superbad.
Yeah. Okay.
Or the Seth character. From
Yeah.
That's kind of that very kind of high-strung, neurotic, like like a very like excitable, like that type of character in a way. I kind of tried to be a little bit like that as well. The fanboy, like the child of the group.
Yeah.
And the Cooper character, whose real name is Cooper in real life.
His name is Cooper in real life?
His name is Cooper in real life.
His name is not just Cooper in real life, right? Because in the show his name is just Cooper.
Exactly, in the show it's just Cooper. We wrote it that way. He kind of has his own personality, but like my original inspiration for the character as I was writing it was Chris Tucker from Friday.
Okay.
That's
fucking Spacey High.
Yeah, Spacey High just kind of goes along with whatever the other guys are going. Doesn't really question, even though he's probably maybe one of the smarter of the 3.
Yeah.
He still kind of just goes along with the idiotic and just like, yeah, fuck it, I got nothing, no place else to go, nothing else to do. Like I'll get.
Yeah, wasn't he waiting in the car while you guys were getting shot up in the fucking warehouse?
Yes.
He was listening to music. I don't
He's listening to Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys. That's where I got it from. That's where I got it from.
It comes full circle like that.
Hey,
see?
That's where it goes. But holy shit.
So if I had to like dream cast and but twist time a little bit.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 guys I want to put in the State of Disgrace show.
Got it. So we're gonna move on from comedy into horror because I find it pretty cool that you could not only write comedy, but you can do horror, right? And they're both extreme opposites, at least to me. But what inspired Mr. No Face and Curtains?
Mr. No Face. Well, the thing was, when we finished State of Disgrace, we'd been working on that show for almost 3 years.
I was about to say 3 years.
The 2 seasons, putting it all together, and we're like, all right, we need to take a break. We need to change it up. Do something different, because we've been doing comedy for the last 3 years or so and done nothing else. So let's try to do something, a different genre. And we wanted to do something that was going to be familiar to us, and both me and Brian are both fans of comedy and horror films. So we're like, let's do a horror film. It was the no-brainer, what's the next genre that we can experiment with. So Mr. No Face originally, there's no real special story behind it. I mean, what it was I originally was gonna branch off with for one project with our sound guy Travis.
Okay.
And he wanted to do a little horror project on his own. He wanted our help with it. And I met up with him. We came up with a couple of ideas, and nothing really stuck. And then I went to Brian and asked him for his opinion and advice. I was like, "Hey, me and Travis were thinking about putting our own little thing together. What do you think?" And just casually, he was like, "Here, do this. Call it Mr. No Face. It's about this guy going home from work and gets attacked by this thing, whatever, but it takes over his body, and then it ends up going home to the guy's wife and kids." They're like, "Oh, okay, that works."
He just came off with that?
Yeah, he just came up with it like that. And then we just all right, let's refine it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we wrote a whole script out, but I think my favorite part about that production was the location.
Okay.
Because I'd been to that, my buddy Travis lives right around that area, that train tunnel and that stop.
Yeah.
And I went there many times before, and I was just like, this would be a great horror, look in there.
The ambiance is right there.
Exactly. And when I would go up to the platform and when I was going scouting for the first time, I'm just like, I'm already getting creeped out just being here, so I know this is right. And just the idea of being stranded in a place like this, does look a little isolated because there's just like a factory like right next door. It's another story about that I'll get into a second. And Brian came out and he also investigated. And by that point, it wasn't really going to be something that was going to be a spin-off idea. We decided, like, you know what, we're going to do it a Raven Roulette thing. We're going to bring everyone together and have it be like a
Travis thing.
A Travis thing.
Yeah.
So he was still involved as the sound guy. And so Brian was going to direct and edit, and I was just going to be a producer and co-write. And so we hired the actors. It was a 2-day shoot. Everything went pretty smoothly. The weather was great. The makeup artist that was there, she was great. We really had no problem. The only situation that happened was on the first night of shooting, we were getting ready to set up a shot. We're in the tunnel, and by the factory area, right near the tunnel area, we hear someone shout out on an intercom, "I want to be in your movie! I want to be in your movie!" Me and Brian stop what we're doing, and we just slowly turn towards each other. Like, what the fuck is that? And then we ended up having to go over and walk towards the guy.
Walk towards the voice?
Walk towards the voice in the dark. And kind of let him know what's going on and just tell him to keep it down. And yeah, he was cool about it and everything. And then the principal shooting happened in 2 nights. And then the 3rd night we went back just to do some pickup shots just with scenery and whatnot. We got approached by the cops that night. And they were just like, "Oh, what are you guys doing? Just filming a movie?" Like, "Yeah, okay, have a good night." And just left us alone. Yeah, that's it.
No permit?
Yeah, no permit. He actually just wanted to make sure we weren't vandalizing the place or anything. Because there were vandalism reports that had happened in that tunnel all the time. He just came by and checked out to see what we were doing. He saw our gear and equipment, and he was just like, "Oh, you guys just filming, all right? Have a good night."
Oh, shit.
He just left us alone, and that was No Face. We had such a good time on the No Face set, and we were pretty happy with how it turned out. It wasn't perfect, but it was production-wise, it was our most satisfying product that we put out.
So what made it different than your State of Disgrace?
We rented a really nice camera.
Really?
Yes, to do it with. We rented it's to some camera aficionados out there, it may not be that good anymore. We rented the Sony A7S II. Okay. We wanted something that was going to be really good for low light. And Travis had gotten a new microphone as well. So we're using the windshield washing pole anymore. That was gone.
You upgraded.
Yeah, we retired that with the State of Disgrace show. So then we've got an actual pole now, and Travis got new recording gear, and that's why it even sounds pretty good. And just to wrap up No Face real quick, and we might carry this on to the next conversation, is one of the guys that helped us out on the 3rd night for the pickup shots was a new camera guy that I just made friends with. His name is Mike Jarzovic. He's a filmmaker himself, and is currently helping us out on our new project, which I hope to touch upon a little bit later. He had just finished filming his first feature film, which is another horror film, and he was going to do a premiere event at the Patio Theater. This is back in 2018. Okay. And originally he was going to have another one of his shorts open up the show, but I instinctively kind of just brought up the idea, like, hey, we just finished this project, why don't we open up for yours, instead? And he thought it was a great idea, have 2 production groups, kind of like a play.
That's cool.
He liked the idea. He ran the idea past his producer. He liked the idea too. And we invited our friends and family, and he invited his friends and family, and we just had a bunch of people that came out for the patio. And that was a really trip to see your project up on a movie theater screen for the first time. And it actually got a pretty good reception. And
were you able to sit through the whole thing? Were you go ahead.
To give you an idea how nervous I was that night, I had to drink about 2.5 to 3 bottles of wine on my own. I was pacing back and forth the whole night. I was a wreck.
Did you sit down though? Were you able to sit down on the seat, your ass on the seat, and watch the movie?
When our movie came on?
Yeah.
No. I was standing in the entranceway.
Me too.
I walked all the way to the back. I didn't leave, but I stood in the archway. just watching the movie from there. And Brian was standing right next to me, like, we were doing that. And as soon as the movie ended, that's when I went in.
You went in? Yeah,
I left. I was just like, I can't do this. It's too much.
I couldn't. I took a few shots and I just couldn't. I just stood there. I couldn't. I was just pacing back and forth. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that night was so much fun. My only regret was, I drank too much, and then I wasn't able to take in the moment as much as I wanted to. There were so many people I wanted to talk to and interact with and take pictures and network with, but I was just too wasted.
You were just talking in cursive. You just couldn't do anything.
Yeah. There was even people that came out, from far distances to come see our thing. I even had a friend of mine who came out from Boston.
Oh, shit.
And I barely got to talk to her that night, because I was pretty much gone. Luckily, one of my other friends was hanging out with her most of the night, keeping her company.
She came from Boston just to...
She came from Boston for a day just to come check out this event, and I barely talked to her and saw her that night. So I felt horrible. But we knew we had the high, to do something else after that. So that's when we went on to curtains. We actually got onto curtains pretty quick.
Right afterwards?
Pretty quick, yeah. We finished filming No Face in May of 18. And by September of 18, we started curtains. We got into the first half of curtains. And we went all the way out to Joliet to film that scene in this junkyard that was privately owned.
I was about to say, is it a junkyard?
It's a junkyard.
Okay.
And Brian's boss owns some property out there, and she gave us permission to be out there. The inspiration for that is all Brian.
Okay.
He said he always wanted to do a short horror film where it was experimental, little to no dialogue, and it wanted to be about, a child being afraid of something behind a curtain at night.
Because it's something he experienced.
Yeah. He said he had that fear when he was younger. Every time he would use the bathroom when he was a little kid, growing up, he was also leery. He was very leery about, being in there by himself, 2, 3 in the morning, and and just his mind would play tricks on him. So he'd see the curtain moving a little bit, on its own or whatever, what's behind there, So he definitely just kept on to that vision, that idea.
And he kept on. He just held on to it.
He held on to it, and then I put in my 2 cents idea-wise, and what if he wakes up as an adult, and it's followed him, whatever.
Yeah.
So we kind of just went back and forth with shooting around ideas what to finalize as an actual script for the story of it. So the first half was done in Joliet. The kid that we had was actually the son of one of my coworkers who at one of my jobs right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that just worked out the way it was. We had another kid, but he didn't work out.
2 kids for the same role?
Oh, we had another kid that was cast, but the original one just didn't work out. But again, we had a pretty big crew that day. We had 2 lighting guys, we had 2 camera guys, we had the sound guy, we had me and Brian, we had a slate guy. It just kind of, like I said, it was kind of evolving a little bit more to the 3 of us not even knowing who's going to hold the camera and the sound pole to now we got
having a team.
To having a team, putting it all together. And then
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, Backstreet Boys. So then after we finished that scene in Joliet, we took a break, and that's when the premiere at the patio for No Face happened a month later. And then January of 19 is when we did the second half. And we actually filmed that at my house.
Oh, your house.
Yeah, that's my house. My parents were out of the country. So I had the whole house to myself. So I was like, what other better place to do it? Because we had the location right here, ready to go. So I hired 2 more actors to be in there. Michael Moody is the lead actor.
Yeah.
He's very familiar to many people in a lot of the filmmaking circles.
Yeah.
Mostly for what he doesn't wear.
Yes.
Michael Moody, if you are listening.
Fucking Michael Moody, man.
His profile pictures.
Oh my God,
really fun guy, really cool guy, really nice guy.
I want to give a special shout out to Michael Moody because he is an avid listener and he interacts greatly on the podcast. Shout out to Michael Moody. But fuck, I have to make sure my wife is not buying me when I open Facebook because you might see his ass, you might see a fucking hat on his dick. But fucking Michael Moody, man.
Hey, it's his thing, he's got to pay the bills somehow.
Hey, it works.
It works for him.
It works. So go ahead.
So we finished the filming of Curtains, and then like I said, we had so much fun with the premiere that we had for No Face. We're like, we want to do it again. We want to do it bigger. And one of my inspirations was going back to, I talked about a little bit about Raul Colon. I really enjoyed going to his premiere events. And it wasn't just seeing like the projects like up on the screen. It was also the networking and interaction that came with it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like and just meeting new people and like it was the after party sort of like thing that was going on. It was just being in a room with a bunch of people that
Networking.
Yeah, that do what you do and like what you do.
Yeah.
And you like what they do.
Yeah.
And I remember one event he had 3 short films of his own play at the Music Box. And I just had the idea of like, what if I got like 2 or 3 other different production groups film projects and kind of have like a mini film festival instead. You know, like kind of like try to maximize the crowd. They'd get their people and the other guys would get their people and we get our people to show up and then you try to get a big crowd to show up.
Yeah.
So I guess we launched our first film festival.
That's great.
As a result of that.
That's really fucking good.
Yeah, it was the Raven's Nest Film Fest. I got an investor to help us out with that. He pretty much covered the whole thing. And we did it at the Davis Theater in Lincoln Square. And they were great people to work with.
Turnout.
Very, very professional. That was a decent turnout.
Okay.
I think that one of the things that I think could have gone a little better was I think the promotion got a little late start.
Got it.
Because
you guys are waiting to book the place. Is that what it was?
Not just that. I wanted to book the projects. I wanted to confirm what was going to be showing before I actually announced it.
Got it. Yeah.
When in reality, I probably just should have announced it.
Yeah.
And then worried about what was going to be showing there later. But like, you know, I don't know. It just was a bad call on my end, probably that like waiting to see what were going to be the final projects before like, hey, this is the event that's happening.
Yeah.
So we knew about this event months in advance. But
you didn't promote it until...
We didn't promote it until like a month before the event.
Shit!
Yeah, I know.
Late start.
Late start.
Fuck.
But the people that helped us out with the promotion, I thought did a great job. You know, there was a lot of ads that were posted on Instagram and Facebook. They're really well put together. I think she did a great job with the time that she had. So a lesson learned, you know, you don't always have to have ready what you plan on putting out before you start promoting it. So, yeah, we did that event. It was a decent turnout. Again, hell of a thing seeing your project up on the big screen. So I can now...
Did you get drunk this time?
Not really, actually.
No, you didn't drink a lot of wine?
I had like 2 glasses of wine before I went in.
You paced yourself.
I paced myself. A really quick funny story was that at the No Face premiere, I was wasted by the time I went up on stage.
Oh, so, you gave a speech afterwards?
No, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Brian actually didn't really drink all too much that night.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he subconsciously knew what was going to happen, but he just behaved himself as far as taking in stuff that night. And when the producer of the other act announced us to come on stage, that was the last thing I remember clearly. And after that, everything was a blur. But pretty much, he knew. He knew what my condition was. So
who?
Brian.
Brian, okay.
Yeah, so he took the microphone, and he pretty much said everything that needed to be said. So, and I'm just up there like, so pretty much when he hands the microphone over to me, like he pretty much
the mic to you.
He pretty much had already covered it, so whatever we needed to say. So I really didn't have anything else to say after that.
But what did you say?
Yeah, that's it. Enjoy the show, everybody. So at the Curtains premiere at the Raven's Nest Film Fest showing, we were on stage and the opposite happened. Like I had too much to say. I couldn't stop talking.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that you didn't drink and Brian got shit faced.
No, actually, he didn't really drink much either. We both actually were pretty well behaved.
Good.
And I think he wanted me to get a soundbite, a plug-in for our new project, but I just kept going on and on about Curtains and the event, and then eventually. He just had to jump in and grab the mic and be like, okay, so we're also working on this. So I got carried away because the adrenaline was going. I didn't have much alcohol, so I wasn't that calm. So then I guess have a little bit of time to talk about the new project before we have to wrap up. The new project we have on the slate right now is a fan film based off of the comic book Chew.
Chew. Okay.
Yes, it's a dark comedy thriller comic book. It's been out I think it came out like 10 years ago or so, and the issue stopped like a couple years ago. And it's about this detective that gets psychic impressions of the things that he eats.
Okay.
And all the different. It's a very, very like fucked up, out there like comic book.
Okay.
And a lot of disturbing things happen, but a lot of funny stuff happens in it too.
Chew.
Yes, Chew, CHEW.
Okay.
And we wanted to do this project going back a few years. And we just kept putting it off and putting it off. Now we're not ready for that. We don't have a big enough crew. We're not ready for it. We're not ready for it. And then after the curtains, we're just like, what do we do now? And we're like, fuck it. Let's do Chew. We've had the script for the longest time.
So, when do you guys start shooting Chew?
We have already started.
Oh, you have?
We're like, I want to say about 40% shot with
Okay.
the principal shooting.
Cool.
And I will say this, it is the best thing we've ever shot in terms of quality, sound, lighting, acting, like just the whole production level. It is the biggest crew we've ever assembled. It's just like, we finally got that Backstreet Boy band lineup. That is like, you know, like the
Backstreet.
The all-star team. You
Okay.
know. We have a new camera guy. We have 2 camera guys now. One is a guy that actually I went to high school with.
Okay.
And he actually owns the camera that we rented for the last 2 shoots.
Nice.
And my cousin John, who's been our cameraman before, so we still had to rent a second camera. So we did that for one shoot, but then like our new camera guy knows someone else who also has that camera, so we just borrowed it for a couple of shoots. So he was able to like come through and help us out in that regard. So we have the quality now. Even Travis got even another microphone. It's even better than the one he had before. So the sound has gotten better. Mike Jarzabek, the director of the movie we opened up for, he's doing lighting for us. So he just has one thing to focus on, which is all the lighting. And we actually had, for the first time, auditions for the actors.
Nice.
We've never done auditions before.
In person or video?
In person and video for a couple.
Oh, nice.
And it was a hell of a thing to be in there and have a bunch of people show up to come for your thing.
Oh, that's a good feeling.
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly sometimes.
Yes.
Or like when you get some people that come in there have no idea what they're auditioning
It's like
for.
American Idol.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. There was one guy who came in and literally he was invited by someone else and he had no idea what he was auditioning for. And we gave him the part and it was supposed to be this psychotic killer chef, but he's reading it like he's reading out the newspaper or something. And then we tell him what the part is and he's just like, whoa, that's a lot to take in. And like, you want to try again now? Like, yeah. And then he tried it again, kind of did it the same way, and was like, all right, thank you. Thank you for your time. And there's a bunch of stories that have happened with Chew so far, but Chew, quality-wise, is the best we've done. We had to halt production for a few reasons.
Okay.
Reason number 1, we started coming up a little short on finances. 2 was the weather was becoming inconsistent, and we had outdoor shots left to do. So I didn't want to take the chance that we were going to be like, you know, freezing our asses off outside.
Yeah.
And 3, 2 of our main actors were moving out of state.
Oh, shit. That's a big move.
Yeah, 1 to Portland and 1 to LA. But I just got off the phone with one of the actors a couple hours ago, and he's reassured me we're going to find a way to get the rest of the shots done.
Oh, that's commitment.
Yeah, his name is Dan Lin. Awesome guy. I told him I'd give him a shot on this. I mentioned I was going to be on a podcast show.
All right.
What's
Shout out
his name?
to Dan Lin.
Rob Fury. He's the other guy who moved out to LA.
Okay.
He's been messaging me regularly, being like, "Hey, when are we going to film? When are we going to film?" So he's definitely still on board. We're going to get it done. So they're going to come back, and there's still the craziest like shots haven't even been done yet. So we have a ton of planning to do when they come back. In the meantime, me and Brian have just discussed like other ideas to kill the time. We have another short horror film idea that he came up with. We're thinking about going live more often on our Facebook page.
Okay.
I've considered also helping out with other production groups that are out there, maybe helping put something else together for some other people.
So it sounds like you're really stuck in horror right now.
Horror, it's a fun genre.
You're ever going to make a U-turn back to comedy, or are you just going to stick with horror for the next few years?
I kind of see us sticking to horror.
Oh.
And even like, we haven't made a feature yet.
Okay.
But me and Brian had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and we decided that our first feature is probably going to be this one idea that we've had in our minds for a couple years now. And it is kind of related to what I said earlier about that movie, Misery.
Okay.
It's kind of similar to that kind of concept. And I'm not going to go into any specifics about it right now, but there are potential moments for comedy to be in there. And so maybe it's going to be like dark comedy, horror-ish is going to be the realm that we kind of stick in. I mean, my favorite kind of movies are dark humor films, like movies like Fight Club or Pulp Fiction or like Boogie Nights. I mean, like there's a lot of great like humor moments, but like they're not considered comedies by the stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
They're almost like kind of in their own genre in a way.
We're talking about curtains, right? And that's Brian's. How do you pronounce his last name? Strife. That's his fear as a child, right? And translated to adulthood. What is your curtains?
I was actually just thinking about this the other day, and like, I'm not the biggest fan of horror films, but I still do watch them. My biggest fear is something that's always, when you wake up in the middle of the night to like, I don't know, go use the bathroom or something, or even like after I've just watched like a horror film, it's the walk back to bed in the dark in the middle of the night, and you feel like something is following you.
Really?
Yes, following you back to your room. That is my biggest fear.
Did you see there was a short film on YouTube that it just went crazy? It was like, I think it was like a dark hallway, and nobody was there, and at the very end it was like a very ugly, creepy girl at the side of the bed.
Sounds familiar.
By the bedpost? No? Because that scared the shit out of me. I mean, it was so poorly made, but fucking awesome on timing. So your fear is the dark.
I can find some solace in darkness, but like I can be afraid of what can be there.
Okay.
Which is why I ask people, like, when it comes to a horror film, like, what do you think is scarier? Like something like a ghost or something like a serial killer? And for me, it's like, it's more like something that you can't see, that is not there. It's more what you think is there, I think, is scarier than what is actually there. You want to know what you're going up against, whether you have no idea what you're going up against.
I think until this day, and don't fucking judge me, until this day.
Don't say clowns.
No. You know what? For a while, when I was a kid, Pennywise was my fucking. I hated him. But now it's me jumping into bed and just underneath that little 5-inch gap or whatever between the bed and the floor, like somebody's gonna grab my leg. I'm so scared, like a boogeyman under your bed.
I kind of have that fear too. That's why I never sleep with my foot hanging over my bed. I'm always mindful not to do that.
Oh my God. So,
but yeah, being followed in the dark in the middle of the night back to my room is that walk is always freaks me out, even to this day.
So what was growing up, right? You say you just watch horror films. What was the scariest horror film that you watched?
When I was a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw some crazy stuff when I was a kid. I mean, like, if I was a parent today, like, I'd be much more mindful about what my kids are watching. But like my parents, they really didn't care what I watched, because me and my brothers always had the TV and the VCR to ourselves in the basement. So we would just rent all kinds of stuff. But I'm trying to remember, like, one of the movies that really stood out to me was probably Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh my God.
And that's such a scary concept there.
You have to go to sleep.
Everyone has to go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's such a, fundamental thing to do.
And his face, man. I remember just growing up, his face was just like...
You didn't even see his face all too much in the first one.
Not
Not towards the end, yes.
And people say the movie that came out, I think it was like at 98, where I guess they reprised it and the face was new. Mm-hmm. They say the movie was horrible, but I fucking loved it. But yeah,
New Nightmare, was it?
I think it was A New Nightmare.
I never actually saw that one.
It was good. It was good. Wow, I named the movie that you didn't see.
Well, here's the thing: Nightmare on Elm Street is always the series that like always freaked me out, and I haven't. It's only been in recent times where I actually started to kind of venture out and watch more of those films. Part 3, Dream Warriors, they say is one of the most classic ones of that bunch, and I only saw it recently for the first time, and I'm just like. It was actually kind of a fun movie. And I'm sitting there with my buddy, we're having some drinks, we're having some popcorn, whatever. I'm like, this is kind of funny. I can get into this movie.
We're talking about horror movies. How would it be like if Saw, right? You know how Saw, the whole series? Mm-hmm. What would it be like for you watching that as a kid? Because, I mean, when you compare horror movies from then to now, it's much more gruesome, much more violent.
Well, the thing is that there was violent, gruesome movies even back then. I mean, like, two of the most violent films I've ever seen were back in the day were Hellraiser, the first and second one, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
The original in the 70s one. You don't really actually see anything, but it's a lot of what's implied. Crazy stuff. So I don't know. It kind of would have been very similar to what I've already seen had I seen Saw back then as well. There are those horror films. The kind of horror films I don't like is when it just goes too far.
Yeah.
To the point where it's not trying to tell a story anymore. It's just trying to just throw gross, shocking things out there for the sake of it, and just like, why am I seeing this? I don't want to see this. Like,
there is no rhythm or rhyme to it, but whoever writes Saw is fucking crazy. The shit that they do over there is just ridiculous. So, what's next for Raven Roulette?
Raven Roulette. I did touch upon. I think
Chud.
earlier
What? Chud?
Chew.
Shoot. God, I've been pronouncing it wrong this entire time and you didn't correct me.
Oh, maybe we should call it Chud. Maybe
Well-
make it our own original thing. You call it Chud, not Chew. Or Chomp. You know?
There you go.
We're gonna pick up production again in May because we still have some outdoor shots left to do. So we're gonna wait till it gets warmer outside. But then again, the days I've chosen, I'm praying that it's gonna be nice weather because 2 of our main actors have moved out of state.
Yeah. One in California, the other one Arizona?
In Portland.
Portland. Okay.
Yeah.
Close enough.
So I got to get those guys to come back. But I don't know. But even on this one, like, there's always been shenanigans. I think I sent you the behind the scenes State of
I
Disgrace.
watched it on the
But
way here.
There's always some bullshit going on behind the scenes that you can just never prepare for. Like on Chew, for example, there was I can tell this story because I think it's kind of funny, but it was very embarrassing at the time. We were filming at this restaurant on the last shoot that we had for the year, and we rented out. It was the most expensive scene that we had to film for the year, and there was so many little things to remember to bring. There was all the props. I had to coordinate with all the actor schedules, all my production team schedules. Like, I had to make sure all the right equipment we had all set up. Just everything. A lot of coordinating, a lot of phone calls.
It's a lot of work.
And then, like, I just kept remembering, I'm like, I gotta make a list. I gotta make a list of everything I gotta bring. I gotta bring this. I gotta bring that. Even like as we were driving from my house, getting ready to leave to the city, I was like, I gotta stop by the store. I gotta get a couple more things. Can't be too sure. Can't be too safe. So I figured I had everything and even more already set up for the shoot. We're getting ready to shoot. The actors show up. Everyone's getting ready to roll. All the extras are there. And then I realized I had forgotten one crucial thing.
Don't say you forgot the camera.
No, that was there. Well, I'd forgotten the main actor's wardrobe.
Are you shitting me right now?
Because the previous shoot that we had was around, where was the previous shoot? Yeah, it was also in the city. And when we finished shooting,
Yeah.
he gave me his wardrobe, which was, a white dress shirt and a black tie. Something simple. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what do you want me to do with this? Like, hold on to it. I'll bring it back for the next shoot. So I took it with me and like I put it on a hanger and I put it in my closet in my house.
Yeah.
And then I'm there. Everyone's there, and I forgot his wardrobe at my house. And I'm like, fuck.
Did you go back to get it or?
No, I'm just like, either I got to go back to my house, or I'm going to have to go to the store right now and buy something new. I'm like, screw it. It probably saved me time. I'm going to go to the store. So I stopped by a Walmart first. I found the dress shirt, no ties. So then I had to get back in my car and go to another store. I went to a Target, and there I found the tie. And like I just kept getting further
For like
and further.
$40 for one tie. It's so expensive.
Yeah, I had to keep going further and further away, like, from the set, to get this stuff. And by the time I got back, like an hour had gone by. So I cost the set an hour of time. And it
my
probably would have been
God.
the same had I just gone home and gotten the original
The
stuff.
most crucial part.
Exactly.
I always leave that to the actors. When I was working on OBK, I took a shot of whatever they were wearing, continuity, saved it to a folder, send it to them with the preliminaries. It's up to you. Bring the wardrobe. Can't believe you forgot the one thing.
That was the only thing I forgot that day, and I'm just so embarrassed when I came back. And he's like, "Here you go."
I mean, but you have a lot to, you have a lot on your plate as is, so it happens.
Yeah, that's what you have on set. You're supposed to have assistant directors, second unit directors, like production assistants, all kinds of stuff. I'm kind of like,
And the prop master, didn't you say you had props with you?
Yeah. So I'm kind of all those people in one.
one.
Like I'm a producer, I'm the prop person, I'm like the scheduling or assistant director. Like it's just, I can't afford to bring extra people right now, so I kind of have to do all this all at once right now.
Yeah.
So it's I'm kind of the script supervisor too, so I'm on set. Like
I heard you talking about the script supervisor. I heard you on the behind the scenes footage where you're yelling at the actor, "Say this! You're supposed to say this!" That shit was so funny. There was an actor there, Spanish guy. He kept, I swear, I think half of the 15 minutes was him walking out the front door with the gun.
Oh God, I can tell. That's one of my favorite.
That was a long night.
That's one of my favorite stories. Again, we're still kind of new with the whole production thing, and like we like to have a lot of fun on set. And
I can tell.
Sometimes we get a little too loose and have too much fun. So some stuff might be going around shared and whatnot. Like we're drinking, stuff's being passed around.
Yeah.
So we like to be nice and loose.
Happy juice.
Yeah. Have the actors, show them to relax and have a good time. So that night we were filming, and we'd gotten everything done. We had this last shot of that actor to come out through the front door, say his lines, and that was a wrap. But by the time it gotten to that point, he had drank so much and smoked so much, he could not say these lines right. And he only had like one line. And
what was the line? He said,
and that's how you leave a message in this dog-eat-dog world. Now let's get the fuck. Yeah.
Something like that.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
that's all he had to say. And he had like 15, 20 takes of him coming out the door and him just flubbing the line, and we're yelling it at him. This is the line. Say this. And even Brian came out and demonstrated to him.
I saw.
That's how you.
One take. I'm like, just use that.
That's Brian. He had to come out there to show him that. Okay, that's
Rodney King.
Do it like.
Just use that.
Do it like this.
Yeah.
And he came out and he still screwed it up. And then he got it just okay.
He got it good enough. I was rooting for him
all
the entire time. Like,
that's good enough.
Don't fuck up. Don't fuck up.
We're done. Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments on set for that. But I'm trying to think of any other behind the scenes of that show that stand out to me. There was
whoever was in the car with the gun. Just says my door's locked. That was pretty.
Oh my God,
was pretty funny too.
That was from a shoot that we decided not to use, so we reshot the whole thing with different actors. Did you see the very end of it? It was probably one of the more
with the
I guess like quote unquote famous people that we
actress?
The actress.
Yeah.
She kept flubbing her line in Spanish.
With the aorta, or was it the aorta, or was it
ascending aorta was the line.
Yeah.
And her name is Maria Elena Magaña. She was a singer of a pretty popular Spanish rock band.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
All right.
Los Pecados de Maria.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of them or not. They're really good.
Okay.
They haven't played as much lately, but yeah, I saw her. I'm like, she'd make a great female bad guy. For this part.
She played it off, man.
She was awesome. That was one of my most fun shoots to do, and but yeah, I mean, there's so many things have gone wrong. I told you the story already with the band. We had to keep quiet.
And you had to pay them.
Pay us some bribes.
Either way, there was another band that was practicing and. You didn't have enough money to pay them either, so you said,
no. We just let it go. And we're like,
ADR.
we'll just post ADR or something like that.
Yeah. So, do you have any word of advice for all the creators out there, actors out there, screenwriters out there?
I need to take a sip of this before I get into that.
Okay.
When we started doing this, I thought to myself, there's a lot of people already doing it, and I don't always wonder why don't more people just do it? Because I talked to so many people about, I always wanted to be an actor. I always wanted to make movies. But I never did it. When you start doing it, you quickly realize why most people would not want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Starting from the bottom.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work and a lot of frustration. You got to have a lot of passion, dedication, and love to do this. Otherwise, there's no point in even doing it. If you're trying to do this to make money, which, hopefully one day it comes to that. If you're trying to do this to make money right off the bat, then you're not looking at it the right way. It's got to be something you love to do. And I love doing this. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing it. But that's my only main word of advice. Make sure you have the passion and commitment and dedication and discipline to do it and keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like digging for gold, or digging for oil. You're going to strike something at some point. You just got to keep trying.
Mm-hmm. And it's really easy for, aspiring actors to get lost in that whole idea of making it big, because you see these 1 in a million, stories of a background actor that ended up becoming Brad Pitt, Megan Fox, all these actors that just started from the BG going into that. So they think that, hey, it's easy, but it's not. And in the beginning, you don't get paid. It's really, it's tough. It's struggling. It's not an easy road to take.
You mentioned Johnny Depp. They can kind of circle back a little bit to Nightmare on Elm Street. I heard the story of how he got discovered. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street, the very first film, and the only reason he got cast in the movie was because Wes Craven, the director, was going over headshots, and he wasn't sure which guy to go with, and he was leaning towards these other guys, and his daughter was in the room. And he kind of asked his daughter her opinion, which of these guys do you think for the part? She pointed out Johnny Depp, this guy. And Wes Craven was like, are you sure? Because, he thought these other guys looked like they could play the part better. And the daughter like, no. This guy, this is the guy you got to go with. And he's like, oh, okay.
And he went from being killed in the bed to being crybaby to doing all these amazing, bodies of work. Wow.
It's dumb luck sometimes. Yeah. It's just chance. You got to be at the right time at the right place.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep trying to get yourself in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, keep trying.
Do you have any special shout-outs?
Yes, I do. Big shout-outs to my whole Raven Roulette crew. Brian Strife, who will be listening to this. Maybe you'll get him someday on here.
Definitely.
Travis Kakos, who lives in the area around here. He's our sound man. Chris Piotrowski, my high school classmate, who is now our director of photography for Chew.
Nice.
Doing a lot of hard work for us. Trying to think. Mike Jarzovic, who was giving us an awesome opportunity for opening up for his film Ghostbox a couple years ago. He's currently doing lighting for us on Chew. My cousin, Juan Carlos Ramirez, awesome guy. Like he's one of our camera operators. He's always been behind the scenes. He plays Officer Ramirez in the State of Disgrace show. Like, yeah, he was on the show by accident. That's a whole other story. He was supposed to be just a cameraman one day, and we were gonna have this other guy play his part. The guy never showed up.
Is he the one with a really thick accent?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
There's another actor we were gonna get to play his part for the shoot that we were gonna do. He never showed up. He blew us off, and we're like, John, you want to be in the show? Yeah, sure. He's always up for everything. My friend Matt Cooper for always being there, helping out behind the scenes. I'm trying to think of anyone else I think of. Just Alex Wu, writer for Chew, Dan Lin, Alex Diamond, Rob Fury, who's one of the big supporters, actor on Chew right now. Anyone I'm forgetting? I'm sorry.
You should have brought a pad. You should have brought a pad with you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the Oscars right now. I want to thank this person.
I want to thank God.
God, number one. You got to do that. But yeah, just everyone who's just helped out and just keeps pushing forward. Keeps helping us push forward.
All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure to sit down and hear your stories and your trials and tribulations. And I hope you have success, continued success with your films. I can't wait to see Jude.
Yeah, and I will keep you posted on the potential next event that we do, hopefully in the fall of this year.
All right. Film festival?
Probably another one, yeah.
All right, yeah, let me know.
All right, for sure.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, please make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay centered on all Indie Center podcast episodes. If you are an independent creator and have a story to share and want to have a sit down, please email me at indiecenter.podcast@gmail.com. That's indiecenter.podcast@gmail.com. If you have sponsorship inquiries, I'd love to help local businesses. Please email me at indiecenter.podcast@gmail.com. Until next Monday, guys. Peace.